Good afternoon. How is it going all? How is it going, you all? Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Another beautiful afternoon here in the island of St. Martin. Just want to spend a few moments with you guys again. Speaking about a topic that is very, very dear to my heart, dear to my the very core of my being, which is that of purpose. So I'm just going to give a few moments before we jump in. The description is the informate, or the topic for discussion is in the description. So if you come in, you can check that out. And again, this is from the Darren Wilson Global page. I'm trying to get a good angle here so the sun doesn't. Let's see. Yeah. All right, well, sun is setting anyway, so we'll work around it. All right, so again, going to give a few moments for persons to come in, and then we're going to jump into it. I'm not going to take too long in the intro because it's from the Darren Wilson Global page, so a lot of persons will probably catch it on the replay or probably on the shares. All right, but if you're coming in, don't forget to like, comment, and share. Let everyone know that Darren Wilson is on again, and whenever he's on, he speaks sense. All right, he doesn't speak anything that is off the topic or anything that is not worth sharing or worth reposting. Okay, so give a few moments, enjoy some music by Positive. I don't own the copyrights to his song, but I just felt that this is one of my favorite songs from him, so I decided to open up with this. All right, if you're coming in, don't forget, just forward about 2 to 3 minutes out, and we'll be jumping right into the topic at hand for today. The majority of the topic today, will be taken from a section in my book, Design for Purpose. This is one of my books that is out, that I have out. It's available on Amazon. And the topic I'll be talking about today is called the peril of purpose, or the peril of not pursuing purpose. One of the main reasons why you should pursue purpose. Purpose is something that is to be pursued. It's something to be sought after. It's something to be discovered. It is something to be attained. It is something to be pursued. It is not. You are not meant to live life arbitrarily. You are not meant to live life haphazardly. You are not meant to live life just going along with the flow. Okay, so and I believe one of the reasons why a lot of times persons are unfulfilled is because they lack the understanding of purpose. All right, so the song is done, so as soon as it's done now, so we can jump right into the topic. The reason I chose this topic, or I decided to speak about this topic, the peril of not pursuing purpose, is because this topic has been something that's been turning over in my mind for the last week, and I was battling whether I should say something about it, whether it's via posting something on Facebook or probably just doing another live. But I chose to do the live because for me it's easier than writing. And the topic is the phrase, or the subtitle, or the subheader in the book is called "The Peril of Not Pursuing Purpose," and it's taken from what I believe is one of the saddest verses concerning purpose in the Bible. I mean, of course, there's many, but this one stood out to me when I was doing my research on the topic of purpose for the purpose of this book. And I want to dedicate this. I want to preface this by saying, this topic, the peril of not pursuing purpose, I want to really target leaders, whether you are family leaders, whether you're husbands, fathers, whether you're business leaders, business entrepreneurs, civic leaders, government, non-profit organizations, church leadership, any type of leader that you are. This peril of not pursuing purpose, I want you to pay keen attention to, because it is of utmost importance that you do fulfill purpose. Okay. Now the verse, the premise for this live feed is this. So Saul died, and it's taken from 1 Samuel 31:6. So Saul died, and his 3 sons, and his armor bearer, and all his men that same day together. Now, for a little bit of context and backdrop, this verse is taken when Saul was in his final battle, in the ending of 1 Samuel. And here we see, this is a section, this is where Saul fell on his own sword. Saul basically killed himself. But what is interesting to me is that the enemy didn't really kill Saul. Saul killed himself. Now that's another topic within this, but I'm not going to go there. The enemy didn't kill Saul; he killed himself. But Saul died, right? And his 3 sons, and his armor bearer, and all his men that same day together. Everybody died. Everyone. Okay? Now, this is what I want to highlight here. Saul was the first king of Israel. As the first king of Israel, he had a pretty heavy responsibility. His job was to unite the Israeli nation, to make it unified, and lead that nation in righteousness and justice, in the fear of God, so that other nations can see the example of what it looks like when a nation fears God and has a godly ruler, a godly king, and a righteous king. That was his purpose. Okay, but as a result of a series of bad decisions, and stuff personally that happened, jealousy between him and David, not checking himself, being disobedient to the prophet, and other bad decisions, it caused him to frustrate purpose, and ultimately ended up getting him removed from his position or the responsibility that God had for him. As a matter of fact, God said, and God, it said God repented from making him king. He said, if you would, I think Samuel told Saul that if you would have listened, God would have kept the king. You would have been able to keep the kingdom, but he didn't. So it lets me know that Saul had a part to play in him not fulfilling purpose. It wasn't God, it was him, if he had listened. Okay, but when Saul decided to not pursue purpose, because when you make bad decisions, you basically say, something, you can do this on your own. You don't want to follow anyone. You don't want to follow God. You want to do your own thing and stuff like that. No problem, fine. But when you do that, and this is why this verse is the saddest verse to me in the Bible. It said Saul died. Now that's fine. You understand? You were the one who didn't fulfill purpose. That's okay. I mean, you don't want to do what God says. That's totally fine. But don't forget, if you are a person in a leadership position or in an influential position, when you don't pursue purpose, and this is the peril, when you don't pursue purpose, you are putting everybody that is connected to you at risk. Saul died, and his 3 sons. So sons in this case represent the persons who are supposed to carry the legacy, persons who are supposed to to carry on what you started. Persons who are supposed to follow up with or follow you in handling the mantle, or in handling the vision that God has given to you, the purpose that God has given to you. When you don't pursue purpose, those sons, the legacy carriers, they die. In other words, they die, and that means they also will not be able to pursue purpose, because their purpose was linked to you fulfilling yours. But it doesn't stop there. It said Saul died, his purpose cut short. His sons died, the legacy carriers, their purpose cut short. Then it said his armor bearer. These are all the people that are supposed to be a support staff, persons to support the ministry, what you're doing. Not necessarily sons in the sense that, they carry on the legacy, but these are people that are supposed to help you, aids. And this goes for all spheres and all walks of life, whether you're in church, whether you're in a business or company organization, or within your family. These are all this principle is applicable across the board. Okay, your sons, the legacy carriers, the armor bearers, those who are supposed to help you. What does that look like in an organization or in a business? The persons who are supposed to help you with financing or marketing or administration. Those persons, those support staff, those aides, those armor bearers to you, the purpose carrier, the vision carriers. The purpose carrier, you, that person, you, the Saul in this case, quote unquote, right? That is, they won't have a purpose anymore because you decide to not pursue purpose. That's the peril of not pursuing purpose. So Saul died, the purpose carrier. All right. Hi Revolution, thanks for coming in. Hi Lisbeth, thanks for coming in. Tash, thanks for coming in. All right, thank you for coming in. Charmaine Wilson, my lovely wife, thank you for coming in. She's always in. That's my cheerleader. All right, so that's so we have Saul, and then we have his sons. We have the armor bearers. So all those are three categories of people, or two categories. Two categories of people that fell by the wayside because Saul didn't pursue purpose. Now, the last category, which is all men. That's what it said. Saul died, and his three sons, and his armor bearer, and all men. What is all men? All men symbolizes those persons who are to be affected by what your purpose is in one way or another. God, when God gives purpose, He gives purpose for multiple reasons. Okay, He gives purpose to influence and impact a multiplicity of people. It is not just for your four and no more. It is not just for your people that are immediately connected to you. It is for people that also are going to be impacted by you maybe 10 years down the line. All men. So the persons that are supposed to be attached to you can no longer find language or context for what God has called them to do if you don't pursue purpose. All men that are supposed to be connected to you, all men that are supposed to be given life through you, all men that are supposed to be resurrected through you, all men that are supposed to be find identity through you, all men that are supposed to be encouraged and inspired and empowered and transformed by you and what you are carrying, can no longer be. When you do not pursue purpose, and this is why I'm so passionate about purpose, when you don't do that, you are putting literally, and I know we don't really think about it this way, but literally you are putting an entire generation at risk. Yeah, God can raise somebody else up, but the idea, that was not the idea. The idea was not for Saul to be replaced, That was not God's idea. But hey, Saul made a decision and God had to find a replacement. And that's the way it goes. God will never have a void in His kingdom. So it's not that you're going to not pursue purpose to spite God. No, you're not pursuing purpose is putting you at risk and putting your generation at risk, not God. God's plan will go forward whether or not you decide to go through a purpose or not. But if I decide not to pursue purpose, let me make it personal. If I decide not to pursue purpose, my son is at risk. Because what I was supposed to deposit and impart to him can no longer be. So now I am already shortchanging him and his generation, and persons that he was supposed to impact in his generation can no longer do so. That is why God is a generational thinker. God doesn't think in terms of today for today. God thinks in terms of today for 40 years from now. What I do today will have an impact on generations that will be impacted by my son. That is how I think. So whenever persons are cut off prematurely, whenever persons die prematurely or don't fulfill purpose, that is why that verse is the saddest verse in the Bible to me. Saul died. Yes, fine. He decided not to pursue purpose. That's his prerogative. That's his choice. He wanted to do his own thing. He didn't want to listen. Fine. But it ain't just about Saul. Just like it's not just about you. It's not just about you. It's about those who are connected to you. It's about those who will be impacted by you. It's about those who will be inspired by you. It's about the legacy carriers, your sons. What are you leaving for your sons? Whether it's sons in the faith or sons that you get through mentorship. What are you leaving for the persons, the armor bearers, those support staffs and aides that are supposed to assist you in carrying out the mantle, that are supposed to do the day-to-day operations so that you can concentrate on unraveling and fulfilling the purpose and vision God has given to you? What if you don't do that? What happens to them? Where will they find context? Where will they find meaning? Where will they find opportunity? Where will they find satisfaction? Where will they find fulfillment? Because don't fool yourself. Not everyone is called to be a vision carrier or purpose carrier. Well, everyone has purpose. Let me say that. Not everyone is called to be a vision carrier or to birth or to build something. But there are some persons whose purpose is to come alongside you to help. But if you don't birth or fulfill or pursue that what God has put in you, there will be no context for them to work. So now they will be wandering around aimlessly looking for an area to fulfill their purpose. All the men who were supposed to be impacted by you, where are they going to find meaning if you don't pursue purpose, if you don't fulfill purpose? And Saul died. Let me read it for you again. And his 3 sons, and his armor bearer, and all his men that same day together. That is one of the reasons why God said he found in David a man that will do all his will. And that's another reason why I believe when you pursue purpose, trust me, purpose protects you. Yeah, it does. God said of David, I found a man that will do all my will, or do all what I've purposed him to do. God never allowed Saul to capture David. God never allowed it. Because David was a man that pursued the purpose of God. He didn't get distracted. He didn't get dismayed. Well, he did get dismayed. He was, downtrodden, disheartened at some times, but he never got distracted from the purpose that he knew God had called him for. And he pursued that purpose. And because he pursued that purpose, God protected him, because God is obligated to protect the purpose that he put in you. God is a protector of purpose. But when you decide to step out of yourself, step out of God's plan, step out of God's purpose, step out of God's will, you walk out of the protection that purpose has, that God has designed that purpose to provide for you. Yeah. There's protection in purpose. There's protection in purpose. And because there's protection in purpose, by default, everyone that is attached to you will experience that same protection. Because you are a fulfilling purpose, God is obligated to protect you. That means that whoever is with you in that, they also will be beneficiaries of that protection. Yep. Pursue purpose. Don't get caught slipping. God loves when we pursue the purpose that He has put us on earth to do. He loves it. He thrives on it. He wants nothing more than that. He wants nothing more than a return on the investment that He placed in you. That is why it is criminal. Hear me. It is criminal to live your entire life and not provide God with a return on the investment He put in you. It's criminal. Yep. It's criminal. The parable of the talents, that's what that is. God came looking for a return on the investment. Yep. That is why that servant was called a wicked and lazy servant, because he did nothing with what God invested in him. No lives were being changed. No lives were being transformed. There was no pouring. There was no impartation. There was no inspiring others to do better. There was no empowering others to become more. There was nothing. That is why he's called a wicked and lazy servant. Whenever we decide that, this is all it is for us, there's nothing else for us to do, then hey, God will say you're wicked and you're lazy. Why are you wicked? Because you're withholding stuff from people that can help them get to another level purposefully. You're withholding. That's wickedness. You are withholding that which has been entrusted to you to give to others. And you're also lazy because it takes work. It takes work to write books. It takes work to come on a live feed and come up with a topic and speak. It takes work to deal with people. It takes work to pour into people. It takes work. It takes work to make a return on that investment. It takes work. So not only are you wicked, but you're also lazy. And that is why God took an issue with that last servant who just buried the one talent. What Saul did was he buried his purpose. Don't bury your purpose. People are dependent on you. My son is dependent on me. I will not bury my purpose. I will not bury my talent. Because at the end of the day, when you hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, that's what that is talking about. How you lived and how much return did you make on the investment God gave you. Pursue purpose. Do not get caught slipping on purpose, because then an entire generation will be at risk. An entire generation will be at risk. Your sons, your legacy carriers, and sons here, sons and daughters. Okay, daughters can be legacy carriers as well. All right, your armor bearers, the persons who are supposed to come alongside to help you, and everybody that is supposed to be impacted by your purpose in one way or another, they will all die. And this is not talking about a physical death, although it can lead to that. When you walk away from purpose, it's only a matter of time before death catches up with you. Because that's what happened with Saul. Saul walked away from purpose a long time ago. He walked away from purpose a very long time ago. But it wasn't until that moment that death caught up with him. He died to purpose, and when you die to purpose, it won't be long before physical death catches up with you. And that's just the way it is. Pursue purpose, because what God had him there for, he walked away from. So then God now is no longer obligated to protect you. After giving you multiple chances, that's why he said, you've been turned over. I think that's what Paul said about Phineas and he turned him over to the devil. Or in Romans, we said turned over to a reprobate mind. There's nothing, after all the opportunities to turn back to purpose Saul had, and you still didn't, then listen, God is no longer obligated to protect you because you willingly walked away from it. I don't want God to say that about me. And that's why scripture, everything in scripture is written for our learning. So we can see what happened here and learn from it. Don't get distracted. God called you to a particular thing. Stay in that calling. Stay in that purpose. Let every man stay within the calling with which he was called. Because you walk away from that, you leave that, you get distracted from that, and you start pursuing other avenues and areas. Everything you need is locked up in your purpose. Your abundance, your prosperity, your protection, your peace, your shalom. Everything is locked up in that. But if you walk away from that, you won't experience it. So my charge to you, and I decree and declare that every one of you watching this video right now and who will be watching the replay, listen, I decree and declare that you will come into alignment with your purpose. You will come into alignment with your destiny. You will come into alignment with what God has for your life. You will begin to discover it. You will begin to pursue it. And you will begin to walk in it with all the authority that God has invested in you. I decree and declare that in Jesus' name. No longer will you jeopardize your generations. No longer will you jeopardize your offspring. No longer will you jeopardize your sons. No longer will you jeopardize your armor bearers. No longer will you jeopardize all the men that have to be in tune with you and will be impacted by your purpose in some way. No longer will you jeopardize them. No longer. Fulfill what God has for you to fulfill. Get in alignment with persons. And another topic, another subtitle in the book is Purposeful Assignments. Listen, you got to get the book, Designed for Purpose. You got to get it. The link is in the description. You got to get it. Because I talk about purposeful assignments as well. How being in alignment with the right person brings your purpose out. It's a continuation of what I'm speaking about right here. Purpose-filled assignments. Don't get caught, or don't be in wrong alignments. If you are not with somebody or with some persons or with a group that is pursuing purpose and igniting and enlightening and how to say, setting fire to that thing which God has given you, that God has birthed within you, if it's being suppressed and it's being quenched, that's the wrong place. You got to get out, because that is not God's ideal. Purpose is God's ideal. All right? And then again, there's process to purpose as well. Again, that is also in the book. So I'm telling you, there's a lot more I can talk about, because again, purpose is my passion. Let me tell you, purpose is my passion. So that's why I wrote an entire book about it. Designed for Purpose. Principles and strategies for achieving personal and corporate fulfillment. I talk about the process of purpose. I speak about purposeful alignments. I talk about the principles of purpose. All right. So this is just a snapshot into what is inside this book. But I'm telling you, this one here, the peril of not pursuing purpose, I wanted to jump on here and share that, because that is the main reason why a lot of families, a lot of companies, a lot of churches, and a lot of even governmental organizations, whether it's direct government or indirect government, are being is in the state that it is today. The peril of not pursuing purpose, not being clear on what it is you are supposed to be doing according to kingdom standards. Yeah. So, what I want to tell you, again, pursue purpose. Discover purpose. Because one of the principles of purpose, and you'll find it in the book, and I just mentioned it real quickly here. One of the principles of purpose is that purpose is inherent. In other words, before you look outside for your purpose, you gotta look within. And in the book, I break that down. What does that mean? You gotta look inside. And as long as you don't do that, because God put everything you need is within you. He put everything within you. Okay? So, purposeful alignments for the assignment, the peril of not pursuing purpose. Let me tell you something. That is key. That is key. That is key. All right? So don't become Saul, where he died. And as a result of him dying to purpose, his sons died. And his armor bearer. And all the men that were supposed to be impacted by his purpose. Okay? Don't be Saul. I want each and every one of you to have the same testimony that David had. God said, I have found a man in David who will do all my will, who will do all my purpose. That is the commendation that you want God to have. You want to say like Paul, I'm nearing the end of my life and I have been poured out like a drink offering. In other words, everything that God purposed for me to do, I've done. That's how I want to die. That's how I want to die. I want to die knowing that I have poured out every book, that I've poured out every live stream, that I've poured out every word, that I've poured out every conference, every seminar, every webinar. I want to know that I've poured out everything. I left nothing back, so that I don't leave the next generation hanging. Because I know that there are persons, my sons, whether it's my natural son, the heir, Darren Wilson Jr., or sons through mentorship or spiritual sons, I know they are coming. The legacy carriers, whether it's the armor bearers, the support staff, to help shoulder and carry and assist in the purpose and the vision that I know God has given to me. And all the men that are supposed to, men, women, and children that are supposed to be impacted and influenced and inspired and empowered and transformed by what this purpose God has given me is. Yeah. I want to know that I left nothing on the table. Yeah. That's what I want. And that's what I want for you. All right? So, I love you. Please pursue purpose. Because it's going to... I'm not going to say it's going to solve all the problems we have overnight. Or not even in 5 years. But if we think generationally... If we cannot get this revelation that we must pursue purpose for generation's sake, then I think that we can put the next generation in a better position than we met them. And that's my goal. To leave the next generation in a better position than I found it. Because that's the purpose. That's the job of kingdom citizens. That's the job of salt. Yeah. Yeah. So let's do that. Yeah? Let's go to the future. Let's think about the future. Let's be future focused. Let's be kingdom minded. Let's be future focused. Let's be purpose driven, and let's have some power moves. All right? Power moves so that we can break cycles. And once we break cycles, we can create wealth for generations. And once we can create wealth, we can change the world. We can be world changers. And when we become world changers, then we can be legacy builders. And those are all hashtags that I use anytime I post something. Why? Because the future is too important. The future is too important to let it just sit. For us to just sit idly by and let it just all play itself out. The future is too important. And that I'm not going to let the future go without having some sort of impact in it. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Definitely not. Alright? So, that's what I wanted to share with you guys. Again, the book Designed for Purpose. It's available on Amazon. The link is in the description. I think it's available on Amazon for $13.95. But if you live here in St. Martin or Anguilla or one of the neighboring islands, St. Kitts, somewhere there, I have some copies available that I can ship to you as well. So just let me know, and then we can get that done. But trust me, get this book. All right, get it. Now, I'm not saying that that it's going to answer all your questions. It's going to answer some, but because there are other great resources out there on purpose. One that comes to mind immediately is from the gentleman that pushed me into purpose through his books, which is Dr. Miles Monroe. That is where this passion for purpose was birthed in me. All right, and so you can get his book on purpose as well. But you can get them both. As a matter of fact, get them both. Yeah, get them both, and it'll at least point you in the right direction to begin to discover purpose. All right. So this is right here. This is the cover, Designed for Purpose, and you can also check out the other resources that are available in the description as well. All right. Why? Because the future is too important. Listen, I'm here to help. I'm here to inspire, empower, encourage, and help build and move you to being better, achieving better, being better and achieving greater. That is why I'm here. All right. And I want that for every one of you watching, whether it's live or on the replay. Okay. All right. So with that said, again, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. And if this is good information, you thought this was very good, please share this with your networks. Like, comment, share. And listen, if you have any questions or anything like that, let me know. Send it in the comments or send me a message. I'm always willing to answer questions related to purpose. And even if I don't have the answers for it, I will let you. We can study this thing out together, because purpose is a vast topic. Purpose is a vast topic. All right, so we can do this thing together. Right? But this will point you in the right direction. This will point you in the right direction, right? Designed for Purpose. Principles and strategies for achieving personal and corporate fulfillment. Why? Because the future is too important for you to just sit idly by. Okay? All right, Facebook family. I love you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining me. And I'll let you know when the next live video is. All right. See you all. Thank you. Bye. Peace.